Hey everyone, I was just coding something for GemRB and realized it would be a nice opportunity to present a very cool feature of Git, the source control management tool that we use, or the source versioning system, or whatever you want to call it. And I was working on a feature that we haven't implemented yet, a very small feature, because we didn't understand it well enough already. It wasn't reverse engineered completely, and there were some differences between the games. And as I was implementing our current understanding, I realized about halfway through that actually this could be done a bit cleaner if I refactored some other code. Now I have everything coded up, but I also want to follow our coding practice to keep commits logically independent, to have nice blocks of logic of code and not large commits that mix, I don't know, several ideas, several different topics of work. So what to do now? I already have all the code written and it contains two changes. So can we split this without much hassle into two separate commits? Yes, indeed. So I increased the size of the font here so it's hopefully visible on video, but basically if I just check the diff that Git produces for the code changes, you can see that there are several files involved and it includes both changes that I made, so I have to split it in half. So if I try just git commit all or git commit with paths, it would just try to save everything, and this is not what we want. But luckily Git comes with this feature of what it calls patch mode in git commit, or much more, let's say, memorable in this instance, partial mode, because we want partial commits out of all the changes that we made, and you can just use -p to invoke it, and then Git will interactively go through the changes and ask you what do you want to do about it. As you can see at the bottom, there's a bunch of options what to do with each div bit or div hunk, and of course when you start using this you have no idea what all these letters, all these modes are supposed to do. So we can just ask it, it's the last letter, and it will print a little help, and it does some pretty obvious stuff that comes handy. So maybe you start inspecting a file and realize, okay, everything in this file should be staged, should be committed, and you can just say, don't ask me about any other changes in this file. You can ask it the same in the opposite sense, don't ask me about anything in this file, just ignore it. And you can do different things also, like splitting hunks or chunks that are too big. So maybe if I wanted to commit everything but, let's say, this top part, I could split the hunk. If it was it was a better hunk, I could split it and it would do all the magic for me. But here there's nothing like this, and this feature here is already part of the fix of the new feature, basically. So it's not what we want to commit, because first comes the refactoring part. So I'll just say n for no to skip this, and it goes to the next one. Same here, just the function signature, same here, more interfaces. Okay, it starts here. So you can see the diff shows several changes, and I think I can show you the split mode here. So this is already part of the refactoring. You can see that it appears that we're changing the storage type of this object tracked member. So if I press S for split, it will ask me about each individual pair of additions or removals, and it's pointless in this case, but just to illustrate, we want them all, and then it moves to the next one. So this is another signature which we don't need. This is something we do need, because we indeed changed the storage type of the member, and because it's a struct. We don't have to manually initialize it in the constructor either. So more work. This is something we also don't need. So in the end, we just committed partial changes from these two files. You can see there are other changes in these two files, but they're not staged to be committed. So I can just write the commit message, let's say, because they're part of the object. Once we're happy, the commit is done. All the other changes will still show up in the git diff. And now this is all and well. Now, of course, it's very good to inspect changes before you commit them and push them. So we can just use git commit p again to have a bit of a pager. So let's see. Because this feature is basically about limiting targeting to a specific region of a map, and it has some weird logic in some games, so we have to do some convoluted stuff basically, but this function looks okay to me. So yeah, we want to stage it. This is fine. This is fine. Okay, filtering. Okay, there is a bug here, there is a problem. I made a mistake while coding, and since I noticed it now, I don't have to abort this process of this interactive commit generation. I can just say, okay, let me edit this patch, this hunk manually, and we'll deal with the consequences later. So I can input E for edit, and it will drop me to my text editor, and I can fix the bug when it's simple. So because it's just a one character fix, not adding new lines, not removing new lines, it's not really complicated, but there are instructions down here also for more complicated cases. So the problem here is that we want to remove the target only if it's not in the rectangle, not if it is. So we have to negate this condition. And as I exited the editor, it automatically accepted the change as its final. And this looks fine as well, this looks fine as well. Yeah, here it's okay. If it's not in the rect, we don't care about it. And now we have the second comment. Now, because we did edit one of the files to fix that bug, you can see that, again, part of this file wasn't staged for commit, but everything that we wanted is. So we'll have this, let's say it's matching code. Fixes bug. Well, I'll have to fix this later, but we have a bug open for it. Now we have two commits. I can also check this with gcherry. Yeah, but also let's not forget I did change that line to negate the condition. So now I still have a git diff, and because now the committed state is the correct one, not the one on the disk, it's correct basically to either redo this change in my files or just say, hey, ignore my files and let's just trust what's in the repository. So I can just check out this file, the difference will be gone, and basically both my version and the version in Git history is okay. So maybe, or hopefully, this presentation of the partial or the patch mode of git commit is helpful, and yeah, have a nice day.